Hello and welcome to How's That? Was a very one-sided game, but fans of Sunrisers Hyderabad will not complain, while fans of Delhi Capitals will be most disappointed with the manner in which the Delhi side played. Good morning to you, Vijay, and nice to have you back here again.
Good morning, Rajaraman. We both of us come from Hyderabad, so reason to rejoice. But we live in Delhi, so we have to look at it with dispassionately. and I thought it was a good game for Sunrisers Hyderabad. Definitely great game.
So usually we talk about how the heart is in one place and the head is another place. Yesterday, it was easy for the heart and the head to stay with Hyderabad, even though my Karma Bhumi is Delhi and so is yours. But it was very easy to attach oneself with Sunrisers Hyderabad yesterday and appreciate the manner in which it played its whole game.
Why not? I mean, you look at David Warner. I mean, how he set an example. He set an example on his birthday, and a beautiful gift he gave to himself. And then Wriddhiman Saha, much underrated, much undervalued. And I'm so happy this morning I saw Ravi Shastri tweeting the best gloved man in the world. I'm very happy for Saha, a very, very humble, very well-mannered, polite cricketer. Very rare to find such players in today's world. And yes, especially happy for David Warner. He had struggled initially, but he's back in form.
Vijay, Ravi Shastri has a point. Of course, Wriddhiman Saha played a brilliant game yesterday, but then he did not keep wickets, and that will be worrying for Ravi Shastri, for Virat Kohli, and for everybody else. For him not to keep wickets was alarming. The number of injuries picked up during IPL has grown, and with the tour of Australia looming ahead, Ravi Shastri, while he can be pleased with the manner in which Saha batted, will be worried that Wriddhiman Saha was out of the field when Delhi Capitals were defending the score.
Yeah, he did show some discomfort when he was batting, and especially when he was rubbing. So probably that's the reason why he chose to talk through boundaries. I mean, he was hitting them with such fluency and picking those gaps so beautifully. That could be one of the reasons, Rajaraman. But I don't think there's much to fear. There's still a long time to go for the Australian series. Time for him to recover, unless it's an injury to worry.
Right. It was good on the part of Shreyas Iyer and the Delhi Capitals team to have allowed Srivat Goswami to keep wickets. Was a very nice gesture, I must say. And Delhi Capitals will have added a few points to the fair play table for itself. But most disappointing performance yesterday seemed tactically unaware, and they were beaten tactically by David Warner and his team.
Tactically unaware, or would it be complacency, or would it be a little arrogance on behalf of Delhi Capitals to have tinkered with the batting lineup, undervaluing its opposition the way it did, and depending on somebody like Rishabh Pant to carry the team forward when he's struggling? I mean, he's looking completely out of place. I would never have expected Shreyas Iyer to shoulder the responsibility, and again, Shikhar Dhawan, after those two back-to-back centuries, is not looking in good touch.
We shall get to the Delhi Capitals batting, Vijay. It is a massive talking point, of course. The batting order is. We shall get to that, but for some time, let us look at the Warner-Wriddhiman Saha partnership and see how it took the game completely away from Delhi Capitals. It was a delight to watch the partnership. Warner playing in his usual style, and Wriddhiman Saha surprising a lot of people yesterday. But of course, we have known him to bat like this even before.
Yes, Rajaraman, I was not surprised by Saha's batting because he has not been given the platform. You know, you treat him as if he is not a good one-day cricketer or a T20 player unless you test him. How would you know? And he played pure creating shots. And as far as Warner was concerned, he knew that those power play had to be utilized. He got a 50 in the power play stage. And I read this morning that this was the sixth time Rajaraman he has got a 50 in power play itself. So that shows that he was so determined to do what he had to, and the brilliant start he gave, I think that dictated the course of the game.
I don't know if he's still nursing a grievance against the Delhi side for having let him. I don't know, Vijay, if he's still nursing a grievance, but I know that in 2015 he was very upset with Delhi for having let him go off into the auction, and the manner in which he played yesterday, it was almost like he was wreaking vengeance on a side that he had played for with such dignity and with such pride before.
Yes, I remember you were with him when you watched him from close quarters with the Delhi Capitals team, and we would hear so many stories of his inspiration, of how he would inspire with his talk, how he would mingle with the youngsters. And here, of course, he was making a point. You are absolutely right, trying to drive home a point. And in this IPL itself, Raman, Sunrisers has thrashed Delhi Capitals in both the times they met.
Right, and in this game, Vijay, it was interesting. Even before the toss, very obviously, Sunrisers Hyderabad had applied a lot of thought. Ken Williamson was fit and available, and they dropped Johnny Bairstow, one of the biggest strikers of the ball. For them to drop Johnny Bairstow, include Wriddhiman, Saha to keep wickets and play him at the start of the inning, just to lend solidity to the middle order, where Ken Williamson can play those creative knocks. I think tactically, this was a wonderful move, not just because it came off, but because it showed that Sunrisers Hyderabad had the heart and the guts to drop someone like Johnny Bairstow yesterday.
Yes, all full marks to the team management. Obviously, David Warner also would have had a major role in deciding who will come into the playing 11. And you have somebody like Lakshman, who's such a good cricketing brain. He must have given his inputs as far as batting forms is concerned of all the players. So this was a good tactical move, no doubt. And Delhi Capitals were taken by surprise.
And another one that paid off, just in terms of team selection, Vijay, was bringing in Shahbaz Nadeem for Khalil Ahmed. And Nadeem rewarded David Warner with that wicket of Marcus Stoinis in the 1 over that he bowled. Nadeem was not called back after bowling that first over with the new ball, and then picked up Marcus Stoinis' wicket, and that was just reward for the captain and the team management having shown faith in his abilities.
Oh yes, once again another underrated player, Rajaraman. If you see, Saha made an impact on the game, and Shahbaz Nadeem. For all these years, he has served Indian cricket so beautifully in domestic cricket, and he still doesn't get a break, which is very very sad. And here, of course, he had to bowl only 1 over, but he made a very very impactful, what should I say, contribution.
Manish Pandey was another batsman who came in, ensured that the scoreboard was ticking. The great start was built upon, and both with Wriddhiman Saha and then with Kane Williamson, ensured that the side would get to 219. And that is a terrific score on a track like that, and really put Delhi Capitals out of the game.
Yes, the match was decided in the power play, if you ask me. I'm not saying in hindsight. The assault by David Warner and then carried forward by Saha. And then, of course, Manish Pandey. Manish Pandey is a very intelligent batsman. I mean, he knows how to exploit the situation, and he saw to it that he made the most of the brilliant start given by Warner and Saha.
Also surprising, Vijay, with a bowling lineup of the quality that Delhi Capitals had, it made no impact on the Hyderabad batting. Whether it was Kagiso Rabada with the new ball, and Rick Noke, his bowling partner, or Ashwin and Akshar Patel coming in later, none of them was able to make an impact, and that hurt Delhi Capitals. For 2 successive games now, they have conceded plenty of runs and have lost both games.
Yes, too much of reliance on Rabada could be a worrying factor, and Ashwin will need a helpful surface. There is no doubt about that. So that could be a one worrying, should I say, department for Delhi Capitals, the bowling. Even though batting, I'm sure it will come good in the remaining 2 games.
Let's give Ricky Ponting the chance to speak about how Delhi Capitals has to lift its all-round game, Vijay.
Look, we've got some work to do, not just on our bowling. We've got some work to do on our all-round game. I think our fielding's been a bit sloppy over the last couple of games as well, and our batsmen have sort of struggled to find any sort of rhythm. So it's a disappointing day for us today.
The other factor that hurt Delhi Capitals, Vijay, to my mind, was the fact that on a beautiful batting wicket, they allowed Sunrisers Hyderabad the first opportunity to take strike. Would have been magnificent to watch the stroke players of Delhi Capitals play with freedom without having the scoreboard pressure had they opted to bat first.
Yes, would have been, you're right. But there could be some reason why they opted to bowl first. I don't know if they had the new factor in mind. That could be one reason, or maybe they want to test themselves to see if they can chase. Because in the coming matches, you will not get opportunity to experiment, and they will have to have a flexible approach. So I will accept that they maybe in hindsight they made a mistake, but what stopped them from going about the chase in a calculated manner? The changes in the batting order defied logic.
Let's watch Ricky Ponting speak about the decision to bowl first and the inability to pick up wickets before we get on to the discussion on how Delhi Capitals messed up its chase.
You know, we obviously opened up today with Norkie and Rabada, sort of identifying how big a wicket David Warner was, and we knew that, you know, with Saha coming in, we thought that he'd open the batting. We knew that he could be a dangerous player as well, but I think they were 77 for none at the end of the power play, and they played beautifully then. And as has happened with us quite a few times through the tournament so far, when teams have really got on top of us, we found it hard to drag it back, and found it hard to go to someone to really change the momentum. And today was a great example of that. So when we've decided to bowl first, we've actually given away big totals. So we've always been chasing high scores. You know, it was 190 on against KKR and 220 tonight. So that's not ideal. But I think as this tournament goes on, we're going to have to get better at that. We're going to have to get better at bowling first, and we're going to have to get better at chasing totals. And, you know, so far that hasn't worked for us. So, you know, we have to decide as a group if batting first is going to be our best way forward in the tournament. If it's not, then we're certainly going to have to find a way to chase runs better.
Ricky Ponting, of course, offering a defense on why they chose to bowl first. And then, having conceded 219, anybody would expect Delhi Capitals to go hammer and tongs from ball one. The choice of opening batsman defied logic. I, for one, would not have opted for Ajinkya Rahane. I would have preferred Shreyas Iyer to open the innings with Shikhar Dhawan and then see where the game went. And to see him batting at number 6, Vijay.
It was very difficult to accept, hard to accept. Shreyas Iyer and Shikhar Dhawan have been the regular openers, and there is no reason why he had to change the opening pair, especially with Ajinkya Rahane, who is short on confidence. We know he is struggling for runs. He has not been a consistent member of the team. So why Ajinkya Rahane in such a situation to come and open? But I think Shikhar Dhawan also would have missed his partner. When you go out to bat, you have this feeling, you know, that you are going out with Shreyas Iyer, and you have given the team good start. So I think that was a mistake, no doubt. Maybe now at least they would learn their lessons and bring Iyer back as opener in the next game.
Now we should give ourselves the chance of listening to Ricky Ponting one more time on the decision to revise the batting order and allow Ajinkya Rahane the freedom to bat in the power play overs. That did not come off, of course.
Well, with 220 on the board and chasing 220, you know, with Rahane and Shikhar at the top, we thought we would, you know, if we lost an early wicket, we were going to have to try and almost match them in the power play and sort of get to 60 or 65 or 70 and sort of be on par with them. Stoinis has been in sensational form in the tournament so far. You know, he's been dying for an opportunity up the top of the order, and as you can see with the second or third ball he faced, or first ball he faced, it might have been, he whacked over sort of wide long on for 4. So it didn't come off today, but it was all circumstantial really in the game because we were chasing such a big total. We tried Stoinis there, and obviously Hedmeyer at 4, which meant that you know, Pant goes to 5 and IE goes to 6. It's a bit of experimentation, basically just because of the circumstance in the game.
Ponting has his point. He's a coach, a very well-established cricketer. I mean, he's one of the greats of the game, and I have absolutely no authority to question his wisdom. It is just that even he would have, in hindsight, regretted this move to bring in Rahane for whatever reason. And still, at number 3, number 4 slots, why didn't we have somebody like Iyer who would have changed the course of the game? So this, I think, I find it hard to digest.
I think the expectation was that they would score big. Both Shimron Hetmeyer, who came in at 4, and Marcus Stoinis, who failed at number 3. But it needed somebody sensible. it needed somebody who could play the waiting game and then accelerate as well. Of course, you want to score big in power play, just like Sunrisers Hyderabad did. But having lost a wicket early, it would have made sense for Shreyas Iyer, who has opened the innings before, to go in and then marshal the resources. You were reducing your own resources in terms of the big hitters for later on, but the game was more or less sealed when Delhi Capitals botched up its strategy completely.
Shreyas Iyer is one of the key batsmen of the squad, other than Shikhar Dhawan. Only he has the capability of single-handedly finishing the opposition. So why he came in so late, they will definitely, it is a point of regret for Delhi Capitals.
It was tough, Vijay, to watch Shreyas Iyer padded up and wait for an opportunity to go down. He's captain of the side. And when you see how the captain of Sunrisers Hyderabad took responsibility and scored fast at the start of the innings, and you see how the Delhi Capitals captain was waiting padded up for an opportunity to bat, it made for very sad viewing, Vijay. They showed glimpses of Shreyas Iyer waiting in the dugout, waiting for his turn to come to bat. It did not make for great viewing at all.
It did not, and he knew it wasn't that it was thrust upon him. At the start beginning, they would have decided that this will be the batting order. And you are absolutely right. I mean, watching Iyer sitting in the dugout and seeing the team disintegrating in terms of batting was sad.
And by the time he walked into bat, 55 for 4, the match was done and dusted virtually. The only thing that remained was for the formalities to be complete. Shreyas Iyer and Rishabh Pant tried to take the Delhi Capitals score to a modest levels, but an 88-run defeat, and I think Ricky Ponting and Shreyas Iyer both can cop the blame.
Yes, they would need to share the responsibility, the blame, whatever the reason, but the margin. I mean, when you say at the time Shreyas Iyer walked in, I was just wanting to know what would be the margin of defeat. I honestly never thought that Iyer and Pant would pull it off from that stage.
Vijay, there remains one conundrum for us to discuss from this game. Rishabh Pant, I can't make out what he's doing with his batting. Is this the Rishabh Pant that emerged on the scene and then made a name for himself, not just in IPL but beyond, with test match centuries in Australia and in England? This does not seem to be Rishabh Pant, but a pale shadow of the batsman we know.
Very pale shadow, and he has been taught a lesson by the selectors. They have dropped him from the T20, from white ball cricket, as they say, which is a clear message to him that pull up your socks, don't take your place for granted. He is looking lethargic on the field, and I suspect he has got fitness issues. Let us not accept that you can't be just, you can't play on your past. You have to keep performing. There are others waiting in the queue. So Pant will have to understand that he has to now perform not just for Delhi Capitals, but for his own survival. Now, if you go out of the squad, it will be a big time before you come back.
I'm not so sure, Vijay, on how much of an impact former chairman of selectors MSK Prasad has had on Rishabh Pant. As he was going out, he spoke in the press about how Rishabh Pant started thinking that he was MS Dhoni himself. And I'm not so sure how much of an impact it has had, but Rishabh Pant really needs to go back to being Rishabh Pant.
He needs to go back to basics of the game. I mean, he must understand how he came into the squad, remember those days, those struggles, and learn from other youngsters who are now wanting to come in. Sanju Samson has now got into the squad. What if he? I'm sure he will do well, and Pant's comeback will be more difficult. And you have Saha there, and Saha, remember, he didn't deserve to be removed from the Test squad. I would love Saha to see, because he's the best wicket keeper in the world when it comes to glove work. So Pant was there essentially because he could bat, not because of his great any wicket keeping skills. He must learn to respect the game and not take things for granted.
Vijay, having discussed Delhi Capitals and its mistakes, we are perhaps not giving credit to Sunrisers Hyderabad bowler. Rashid Khan was magnificent last night, bowling his 4 overs and conceding just 7 runs and picking up 3 wickets. Perhaps it was the spell of the tournament from a leg spinner.
For a long, long time, I don't think I have seen such a wonderful purpley cricketer on the field like Rashid Khan. 4073. I mean, how many times? How many? You would die to have such a bowling analysis in your name. And he has only grown with every game. And it doesn't matter who he is bowling to. He's so confident, smiling, looking at his field, winking at the batsman. I mean, he is just the cricketer who brings such joy on the field. And I love Rashid Khan for his attitude.
It's time we bring in Rashid Khan himself and listen to what he's got to say about his own bowling.
I always have that thing in the mind that whenever I have an opportunity to bowl in the game, I think I always focusing on deliver the best for the team, and that's what, when I bowled first few balls, I got a wicket on the first ball, and then I realized there is something in the wicket which will help me more. So I just need to try and just need to focus more on bowling good deliveries. I think the more good deliveries I bowl, I think I may bowl more dot balls. So yeah, that's what had the plan as well, to bowl best deliveries the most.
The win has given Sunrisers Hyderabad the chance to remain in the hunt with 10 points, but then Delhi Capitals can face the threat of being eliminated if it continues to play as poorly as it did yesterday. Talking about selection matters, Vijay, let us take this question from Rohan Kharkanis from North Stand Gang, Mumbai.
Are we actually selecting test matches on the basis of IPL performances, or is IPL becoming a too heavy yardstick for national selection? So if say an Ishwaran who's been scoring a lot of runs in domestic cricket for quite a few last few seasons, and Priyank Panchal is doing the same. So there are a few openers who've been doing well all this while, but we're not seeing them being picked. All we see is KL Rahul, who would be just maybe a below 25. He's been averaging in Australia, England, South Africa. And then suddenly he's in New Zealand as well. And suddenly now he's drafted in the test squad just on the basis of an IPL performance.
Good question, Rohan. I'm very so happy that you follow domestic cricket. It shows that how much you love cricket. And you're right about IPL. IPL is not the selection for test matches. KL Rahul has shown his potential, Rajaraman. It is not that he's being picked only because of his ability to do well in IPL, but he's so right about Ishwaran. Yes, he has been among the runs, but to me, Priyank Panchal definitely deserves a break, because if you see last year, he's played 9 matches. He's got a double 100 and 100. In fact, 200s and a double 100 against New Zealand, Sri Lanka, West Indies, England. So he deserves a look in. At some point, he may. But Rohan is so right about Panchal. I would back Panchal for a place in the test squad at some time in the coming season.
Let's now move on to a big game tonight, Vijay. You have got two sides which are at the top of the table, Mumbai Indians and Royal Challengers Bangalore, playing against one another, and one of them will definitely seal a qualification spot tonight. Which one will it be, Vijay? It's going to be interesting to watch.
Oh yes, and so many people would be sitting there to see if Rohit Sharma will come out to bat, because everything is revolving around his fitness. But yes, you're so right. It will be up to De Villiers again, repeatedly, again Padikkal, Virat Kohli. They have awesome batting lineup, but Mumbai Indians don't rule them out. Pollard is capable, and he can always step up his game and finish off the opposition. So we are in for a cracker of a contest.
Until tomorrow, when we meet after this game, have a lovely time, Vijay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hope we get a great game tonight.